Go ahead.
The recording has been started. We can go ahead and hop in here. So right now I'm looking at teammates. First thing I always like to do every single game is just take a look at the different comps that we're working with, as that's going to change up our play style based on our teammates as well as the enemy teammates. So we do have an Ana and a Mercy, which is going to be very good for us as Genji, as we have Nano Blade, as well as the fact that Mercy can damage boost us and pocket us, especially while we're in Blade. So we're going to
Right,
have to.
right. And they
Mm,
said let's they that we were gonna run something different, but they said let's run dive, and I said all right, my Genji's not the greatest, but we can
mm,
run dive, I guess. And then they wanted to run dive with like Zen and like Moira or something, and I was like, no, we're gonna need a Mercy for dive, right? Like that's kind of
mm,
standard. And I was like, how about let's run Merciana? And they're like, okay, fine. And I see that they're running Hammond Diva, which is not. I would have picked Monkey Diva or
mm.
Monkey Hammond. Like I don't particularly like divas because they're easy to farm, right? And
Uh-huh.
they're just big purple ult batteries basically to me, and I don't like them. But you always have that chick that wants to play diva, so it's like
Well, I
whatever.
mean, I
Go
think
ahead.
D.Va's very strong at the moment, actually. So, um,
Really?
yeah, and even like at the moment, basically, um, this is highly, um, what would how do I say that? This is at the moment, this patch is by many many players considered like the best patch that Overwatch has ever seen since beta.
Right.
And there you can actually pretty much win games and work with any composition. There's no hard meta in ranked at the moment, so
Right.
doesn't
I
really
think
matter what
I'm
characters you're
still
running.
traumatized for all the years of Ryan
Hmm.
Zarya, and being a hardcore Zarya main. Anything besides Zarya, I get cringy about.
Hmm.
That's just like ingrained trauma from goats and
Hmm.
whatever
Which
else they
Diva,
got going
which
on.
Yeah, which even D.Va has also been meta for a very long time. Probably, I would say D.Va's been meta more often than Zarya has been. D.Va was meta during Dive era. D.Va was meta during Goats, along with Zarya. I'd probably say D.Va has been a very, very big character a lot of the time. Well,
But is that in?
mm,
But that's in the high tiers of play, right? You see a
mm,
gold. Usually, if you see a gold diva, they're not gonna do
as
much.
well, yeah, because there's
and
a
that's
lot
and
more to
that's kind of what
manage.
I get.
Mm.
They just feed more often than not. But that's just my experience with them.
All right, so right now on the enemy team, they're running Orion Saria, Bastion, Ash, K, Merciana. So we're gonna have to just watch out if we sit around and poke for too long, they're just gonna have the advantage. We kind of want to get in on top of them fast because we're on dive. If we just sit around, then we're playing into their comp, which they're playing spam mainly with their DPS and Mercy, and then their Zarya Orion can kind of act as a counter dive. Okay, so we're already down one. Okay. Make sure that you're getting healed up before you're re-peaking, right? Even if we're requesting healing, we still need to kind of pay attention to health bar so that we're not, sitting around here and then re-peaking when we're at 58 HP. And then obviously that's not going to be the smartest of ideas, because then that just ends up in resulting in our death here, right? So make sure that we're pressing any healing a couple times. If the supports aren't looking at us, we can maybe try to go run and get a health pack, but at the moment we just really need to get healed up, and because we don't do that we end up dying here, and whenever you die you're just going to get a lot less value than if you end up surviving here. So big mistake that we made that fight.
Facts.
Okay, so they got both our tanks. Probably just want to regroup. We can maybe just poke in and poke with shurikens, and that's pretty much it.
I require healing.
Okay, so really reserve those right clicks for when you're a lot closer in range, or you're throwing them at a big clump of targets, because when you're throwing them at a clump of targets, it's more likely that all of them are gonna get caught. But when you're at that distance where only one shuriken's gonna hit them, left clicks just gonna be more efficient, as you can be more accurate with it and hopefully hit more than one single shot. So if you're maybe sitting at this frontal area, or angles, sorry, where you're right clicking in right next to the Reinhardt or into a big clump of people. That's where you'd be right clicking. But when you're just kind of dancing above their heads and you're pretty medium-ish distance away, that's where you really want to be just adding in left clicks. I think that we need to be really focusing on ult charge here. You're gonna notice that Genji's very, very ult based character, and essentially how you're gonna operate on Genji is at all times your goal is to try to charge up your ult as fast as
Right.
possible. And then
Yeah.
if you see an opportunity to do something else, you go for that opportunity. So if you see somebody that's low, somebody that's out of position, somebody that you can kill easily or take a duel with, then you go for it. But Genji is just not going to have as good of a base damage as let's just compare it to their Ashe or their Bastion on an enemy team, right? Those characters are just better with their regular default kits. But
Yeah.
your ultimate is what makes you kind of a good pick on Genji. So I think we need to be looking to spam a lot more often, especially when it comes to spamming Bastion when he's just sitting still. Um, like in Sentry form, we just want to use sending Shuriken after Shuriken into him just so we can farm up our ult. Because right now we're lagging decently behind when it comes ult wise. Because if we look at tab,
Mhm.
Ana's already 20% ahead of us. Ball's 20% ahead of us. Tracer's has a pulse bomb. Pretty much every character. I'm pretty like pretty much every single person in this lobby besides maybe Mercy
Ahead.
is ahead
Yeah.
of us. So we just really need to focus on that ult chart so we can get that online.
Yeah, it was hard because my team's like trying to still run dive and nobody's really diving. You know what I mean? We're just kind of walking in, run it one at a time and dying, and I'm just
Mm.
trying to poke and build ult, and it's just kind of we start breaking down. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, see, my ult just about caught up with Ana at this point.
Because
See, I'm
here
I'm
this
I'm neck and neck with Ana now, which is where I want
Mhm.
to be,
Which is you'll
and
see here is we actually swap from doing some weird non-really poking stuff to actually getting in some good poke damage. So if we
mhm,
watch the difference between this, where we're just kind of sitting at the window and we're not really shooting at the Bastion who's standing still, right? We miss shots, deflected nothing, hit one shot, right? We're just missing a lot of shurikens. We're not getting a lot of good spam damage in. Then we come in, we're kind of dancing out in the open. We can go over that if that becomes a problem
right.
continuously.
Well, I was trying to
Mhm.
draw the fire away from the choke, so my team could dive, right? Because they're still running dive, and I'm like kind of just waiting for them. I'm like, all right, when are we gonna dive? I'm waiting. You know what I mean? And then they start falling apart
Mhm.
still, so I'm just
Yeah,
like,
but
all
you
right,
you just have
well,
to keep in mind that you as
whatever.
Genji, your job isn't to be the tank, right? You aren't the tank as Genji. So you're not really your job isn't to soak up damage and be the distraction as much as it is Ball's job, right? Ball is much better at that than us. Tracer's much better at that than us, just because their toolkits allow them to be distractions in the backline. And if we look main, right, when we're doing this, let's see. When we're jumping around here, like who are we helping get cross past choke? What the tracer who can blink past choke?
But then
The
where's my tanks at this point, right? They're just kind of
which ball's over on the side? Devo got demeched here. The ball we need.
walks in and yeah, feeds, right?
Yeah, which
But
we should probably hopefully be waiting until the ball makes a move and then be engaging. But we just need to be poking in that time or looking for an opportunity. We can't be tanking all this damage, and then what that means is that we have to end up backing up.
uh-huh.
So preferably, we're not standing out in the open. We're just maybe sitting closer to cover and poking the Bastion who's standing still, and getting good ult charge in because we want to be charging up Blade as fast as possible. They don't have any defensive ults on the enemy team. Right, they have Grav if we get Grav,
Mhm.
or they have Shatter, but they don't have a beat, they don't have a trance. So as long as we're playing this Blade smart, then we're not going to end up. We're gonna. That's how we're gonna cap point here. So
Yeah.
and then here what you can see is we actually do start poking really well here. We start getting in a lot of shurikens, and this is what boosts our ult charge. Now at this range this is where you're right clicking because now you're getting a lot closer to someone. This is a tank, not a support, so they're going to be able to eat these shurikens a lot easier. And On top of that, since you're at the frontal angle, any shurikens that you're missing have the opportunity to go past him. So right click's gonna be just better because it's gonna be a little bit faster and more consistent at this range than a left click is. But you do end up getting a lot of shurikens in. Now Reinhardt, that's the distance where you'd be now left clicking Reinhardt. You do get a lot of left clicks in, and then that's how you do get up to 70. So this is really good spam damage. You just want to keep doing this because right now they don't really, as long as we're sitting back and being safe, we don't really have a reason to be scared of peaking here. Just because the worst that can happen is we get one tapped by Ashe. But besides that,
Their
all we have to
diamond
do.
pocketed Ashe was hitting a lot of shots too. She was really tricky. She
Mm.
was like, she had a fat pocket most of the time. Higher ranked than anyone on my team, and just cracking heads nonstop, just farming our diva.
Which what we're doing
That was
here
a
is
big problem.
right here, this is fine because we're out of LOS of the Ashe, right? Ashe is top
Yeah.
left, so as long as we're not peeking Ashe, Reinhardt's not going to one-shot. Like, there's nothing on their team that we have to be scared of while we're just poking here. So as long as we're staying out of LOS of the sniper that can one-shot us, if we get low, all we have to do is deflect or dash backwards, right?
Yep.
And then we're fine. So this is fine just to keep poking in and out.
I am ready.
Now Ashe is peeking.
I require healing. I need healing. I require healing.
Do something!
Okay, so this fight is lost. Right now we're just trying to look to get out or die. Okay, we're
tried.
grouping up.
I tried to get out. And this is where the epic nano blade gets horribly messed up, I think.
And
I think my team starts using their ults, and it's just we kind of fall apart really bad from here.
mhm.
They're
Okay,
still, and then Kai switches to Sigma Orisa, and they're just standing at the choke eating.
Okay, so we have the nano blade. I'd probably also request for your Mercy to pocket you when you go for it, and then we also do have a pull. So but we have a lot that can assist us, and especially since we're in a 6-stack and we can communicate with people, and even if you weren't, you can still communicate with the people in your ranked matches. So
Right.
here we would be asking for all this assistance, right? Okay, we have Nano Blade here. Mercy, make sure you pocket me, or make sure you damage boost me, and then Orisa, can you pull when I go for it? Okay, and then
Right.
you count it down, you dash up in the air, and then we go for it. Because if we're not comboing all those things, we're not going to get a lot less value. Here, this is pretty much exactly what I'd be going for it. If we see them running in like this is a perfect opportunity to go for it while they're all in that little choke point. All right, so
I think I was about to, and then I got stuck in a grab. I was just about to, and then we all got grabbed, and I was like, oh well. And their Ryan's nanoed, they start popping their stuff, and I was like, okay. See, I looked up, and I was just about to do it, and then we got stuck in a grab and just got beat up.
So just slightly less hesitation on it, but besides that, that's fine. They grab now. They should have nothing to stop us, right? Besides just melting us with
We
bash
still
and
have
something
it
like that. Yep. We just need to get this off, and then we're good.
I need healing.
And I'm telling the Mercy, I'm like, all right, I'm about to do it, Mercy, I'm about to do it. You ready? We're gonna make this happen here, and my team's still kind of struggling to get in. So I'm like, all right, whatever, let's do it.
All right, so
I totally missed the first swing. I totally epically failed right there.
So
I don't know what
it looks like
what
we're
I was
very
thinking.
the problem here is that we're very delayed with our blades. So in the other fight we were using it too late. In this fight again, look at when we use this blade. We're gonna go in. What happened in kill feed?
Ana got killed.
And Mercy got killed. Right, so we're down 2 to start off here, and that's because we're just coming in a little bit too slowly. You have to keep in mind that when we're looking to use ultimates, we always need to use ultimates at the very start of fights as fast as we can, because the later that we use our ultimates,
We can
the
build it up
more
faster.
yeah, you can build up faster. But then the other thing is that ultimates inherently get more value the earlier you use them. If we wait on them, then that means that something like this happens where they get manpower advantage, right? They're up 2. We miss out on the nano, right, because of that. And then Blade's probably going to get shredded now because we don't have any support pockets.
And we had 30 seconds left in the game at this point. Everyone's kind of
Yep.
tilted and like tripping out, and
Yep. So
yeah.
last fight, just need to go in early with the blade. This fight, just need to go in early with the blade. And if we're doing that and we're not hesitating, then we're going to see a lot more success. Just because, like, even let's say that they use their ults before we use our ults, right? Which they did Valk before we use our blade. Let's say they use their ults first. That means that they get the extra damage. They get the extra CC in first, which means that they get picks, right? And then because they just use their ults first, their ults now get more value because they just have the man advantage. They're up people, and therefore they're more likely to win the fight. So the earlier we use our ultimates, the more like we're going to be getting that damage in first. We're going to be getting those kills first, which means that all ultimates that they use are just going to not get as much value. Okay, and then on top of this, when we're coming in here, looks like
I didn't get the nano either, and I just kind of
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this Ana, and then she just bam.
Yeah, probably
Nailed me, dude.
I would just dash at the Ana that way, or
Yeah.
dash over to them. That way you're not running in a straight line over to them, which is faster, and it's going to mean that you're making it a little harder for them to kill you. Okay.
Yeah.
And especially if you're running straight at her and you know that she's going to be looking for the sleep, that's where we can also add in the deflect. But essentially, you see the problem with the attack here is that we get 1 blade off, right? Instead of
Got one
potentially
kill.
2. Yep.
Yeah, my
1
team
blade,
got
1
mopped.
kill. Using it at improper times, delaying it too much, and then our team gets at the disadvantage. So we need to be better at poking and building up our blade, but then also with our blade usage, we want to make sure that we're communicating to our whole team how we want to use blade and making sure we're going about it faster.
And then there's a Bastion up there, up top, but behind us, they just memed on us at that point, and I was like, oh god.
Alright, so we're gonna go over some stuffs real quick. So hopefully you've at least gone over this type of stuff before, but this can just be a good review for you since it's you haven't played as often. But just keep in mind that this is some stuff that I was seeing that could be stuff that you can work on. So we're gonna go over positioning and then crosshair placement real quick. So positioning, kind of the name of the game with positioning is good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. If we're dancing out here in the open, right, or even like right here, for example, and then this is 6 enemies and they also are shooting at us, we're going to be taking a lot of damage. It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind the nearest cover, and in that time we're dead. So that is therefore bad positioning, right, because it is out in the open and there's no cover there. Whereas this is good positioning because we can do pretty much all the same stuff from here, except for now we are next to cover and it takes us half a second to duck behind cover. Okay. And there's a lot of different forms of positioning, right? You can use pretty much anything that blocks line of sight, pillars, slopes, corners, okay, objects like so. Right, we can use high grounds as positioning, but if you're standing out in the open too much, you're just going to end up getting shredded. So we want to make sure that we are being very careful of our positioning and making sure we're using cover. It was especially apparent when we were up on that one higher ground and we were poking in from above, and we were just kind of standing a little too far out in the open, which just made it very easy to pressure us, and therefore we had to back up and give up space. So the second thing here is called crosshair placement, and if you're unaware of what that is, that's going to be essentially using your brain to help your aim. You're placing your crosshair in the best place possible to make your shots the easiest to land. So if we're always the big first step to this is placing your crosshair at head level, right? If we're placing a crosshair at body level, which might just be mainly if you say you were a Zarya player on console, this could very easily be a bad habit from just playing too much Zarya. But if you're playing
Yeah.
characters that can hit headshots, right? Headshots are going to be doing a lot more damage than if we're hitting these body shots, okay? So it took us 4 shots versus 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots, right? So it's twice the amount of damage, right, if we're hitting these headshots. So we really want to make sure we're hitting those. So if we're aiming at body level, to hit headshots, we have to adjust up and to the left or up and to the right. And the more adjustment we have to make, the more likely we are to miss the shots, and therefore it makes it harder on us. So if we aim head level, there's less adjustment distance that we have to make, and that makes the headshots easier. On top of the fact that all spam damage that we're doing now, right? All spam damage that we're doing is now just hitting headshots, right? So if we're just spamming on this corner, these are all just hitting headshots rather than them just all hitting body shots, which again is going to get you more ult charge, going to mean that you're doing more damage, opening up for kills a lot easier. And if we're jumping up in the air, we're just going to adjust our crosshair down, and then we're going to adjust back up, right, as we're jumping. So you need to get used to making sure you're aiming head level no matter what height you're at, right, even if you're jumping up in the air. And this can become a little bit apparent here since there's a slope here and then there's a high ground here, we're not just aiming at our head level, we're aiming at the head level of opponents. So doorways, corners, doorway, corner. We know there's a bot over here, we're aiming head level at their head. And then we're just, oh, whoops, I was delayed with those shurikens and I miss all of them. Okay, head level the doorway, just aiming a little bit in front of their head, but pretty much we don't need any we pretty much don't need any adjustment, really. It's just very, very little adjustment because we're already aiming in the place where we need to be. So if you're already aiming, right, we know there's a bot on our right here, so we're already aiming head level to the right, and these shots we're already aiming there, right? So it just becomes so much easier. We know that they're a little slanted down here, so we're aiming our crosshair a little bit down here, pretty much already aiming at their head, right?
Target neutralized.
This guy's up a little bit because we just saw them. So we're coming around this corner, already spamming at this head height.
What DPI and sense do you play at for Genji usually?
For Genji, I keep all my settings the same across all heroes. My sensitivity is 4.5, and then my DPI is 800.
Okay. It's pretty standard, right?
Mhm.
I think I'm at about the same, like 475, 800.
Yeah.
So
All right. So that should be pretty much it. I didn't get to see much of your blading here. We'll continue with that replay.
I have another quick play if you want. Oh, okay, yeah, you can
Oh,
watch the
do
defense of that
you want
replay.
to go over the defense?
Yeah, go over the defense really quick because I switched because at this point I'm like, all right, well, we just got to try to hold them. We're in trouble. So I switched to Torb. I was like, I'm just gonna play Torb and hopefully. And I think I did pretty decently on Torb, but I think my team just completely fell apart and you'll see they get backed into man, they get backed into some crazy places.
Which some just good mindset to go over real quick.
Mhm.
Stuff is, yes, I'm not gonna deny there are games that you will lose, and it's actually gonna be a lot of games that you will lose because of bad teammates. You will lose games because of levers and smurfs and all of the like.
Kids that are
But
boosted way higher than they
mhm,
should be.
yep.
You know what I mean? Like
But
they're playing in masters and they're
mhm,
really in gold and you're like, what the hell?
yep.
But
But there's a but there. Doesn't matter at all, right?
Mhm.
We need to
You're right.
ignore that and focus on our own gameplay because
Yep.
that's the absolute only way that we can improve. So,
Yep. I had
um,
a buddy who was
mhm,
a 4500 Genji main on console and he could basically carry any game. It didn't matter. Like
mhm,
he was like whatever, we'd get all kinds of shitty people on our team and he would still just drag us through,
yep. So
Didn't
that's
matter.
exactly pretty much it. That just means that when we're thinking about our own gameplay and our own games, right, we need to remove us blaming teammates, even though that
Yeah,
is
you're
a
right.
lot of the time going to be the problem, and think about what could we have done better because there's always something we
Yep.
could have done better, even if our teammates are throwing. Right.
You're right. And that's how you improve,
Mhm.
it's tough cuz you get some people who are just, ridiculous, but
Okay, so we
there's nobody at the
are.
choke. Our teams. There's nobody here at the choke. Really. Oh, well, no, they are. My bad. I'm looking at the reds.
Yeah, we are ready.
Yeah, we're there. Okay. I'm like, wait.
Alright, so this is pretty much where we want to be aiming. This is good crosshair placement. This just was lacking slightly on our Genji, but this is do much better on our Torbjorn. As you can see, pretty much just on the Echo here, that we are aiming at head level while we're peeking here. So this is exactly the height that we want to be spamming at. Now we're aiming a little bit too low because you have to also remember that you have an arc. So if
Yeah.
while these shots are coming in, you see this is gonna hit Echo's legs. Right. So it's just a little too low. Make sure that we're aiming a little bit higher, right? And we're always keeping that head level because that means just every single shot that we're spamming down this corridor just hits headshots. Right. So just like all these, right? We're just going
all
body
bodies.
shot, body shot, body shot, body shot. Right. These are just automatically all headshots as long as we're aiming there.
Yeah.
So proud.
And then I look over and I'm like, oh wait, my turret's not really doing that much. I need to fix it.
I think you have it too far back is the
It was too
problem.
far back. Yeah. I was like, oh shit. So I had to run over there and fix it. But it got a kill, but it's still, I was like, oh whoops, wrong spot.
It's like
Go
glitch into
fix
the
that.
ground there.
Yeah, I'm like, oh whoops, my bad. Let me go fix that.
Right? Again, readjust that up to high ground, like, because pretty much a lot of Torbs get, like, right now, all you're doing is just spamming, and that's pretty much it, right? Tor's a very
Yeah.
spammy character. Torb is spam in Brawl, so at this point, the best thing you could be learning how to do is just making sure that you're just doing more damage to that.
This is the beginning of the end right here. And then look, my Ryan's backed up in the wrong direction. I'm like, where are you, dude? Come to the point. You know what I mean? Like, look where he's at. Look where he's at.
What's a
That
Roadhog?
guy.
Yeah.
Oh
Reinhardt's
yeah, but
dead
look
right
at my
now.
tanks. They went the wrong way. Like, how did you guys end up over there? They should have been over on the point, you know?
Mhm.
They get pushed over into Neverland. I'm like, all right. Oh. May completely misses her freeze on anybody. Doesn't freeze anybody. I'm like, all right, well, let me just spam the point up with some Torb juice. Let's just go for it, because this is the end here. I could tell. I was like, oh, this is it. And I'm just missing shots. And
Alright, so let's think about the timing with our Torb here for a second. So when we look to use this, let's see. So we have some people on point. The problem here with the Torbolt though is the fact that nobody's on point, right? So we're using this at a time where we're pretty much not going to get anyone. Right? Yeah, but the problem here as well is that D.Va also has boosters, right? And she can fly away. And so our Torbolt's not going to get a whole lot, right? Just because of the fact that there's no one there to get. Right, so if we use this just slightly later, right, maybe after the wall goes down and they start pushing in, then we therefore get a whole lot more value, because here you can see, right, we Torbolt point, and all they have to do is just back off and run away until Torbolt fades, or they just reposition.
I think I was panicking at this point because I don't see any tanks for quite a while, and I'm like, all right, like we're in some deep trouble because I don't know where my tanks are, and I'm just trying to buy time so our tanks can get back to the point, you know.
Yeah,
like, well, maybe if I just spew this lava and run around, my tanks might make it back, because you see they're coming in at the choke, and I'm like, oh, there's hope, but they might make it back, you know. And so I'm just
I would attempt to win this without the tanks, right? Because the respawn time here is like, it takes 10 seconds to respawn, right? And it takes roughly 10. This is a very, very, very far off spawn. It takes around like 10 seconds for them to get back. So from the time of like the point of death, you're looking at around 20 seconds from them to get back. And that's not the duration of a Torbolt. So essentially here, we need to be looking to win this without our tanks, right? We can't think about waiting for our tanks to get back to point. So we need to be looking to, instead of just using this as a zoning ult to just get them off of point, we need to make sure that we're trying to use this to get damage, to get kills, so that we can potentially win this fight. Because with the way that we used ult here, our ult here, we just didn't get as much value as if we just used it slightly later in the fight. Okay. Unfortunate, and then that is pretty much it. Yep, game ends. So, basically, I would guess main points of this. Yes, maybe lost this game because of other people, but make sure that's not your focus and your line of
Right,
thinking.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's not how we're gonna improve. We could have done a lot better with our spamming to make sure we're getting ults faster, to make sure we're just getting more damage in. And then we also went over, positioning with our Genji, make how we can use our blade better by communicating and making sure that we're also not hesitating on our Genji ult. But then with our Torval, we also used that a little too early, right? So we just got to work on the timing of our ultimates as well.
Victory.
All right. So do you have another code that you'd like to
Mhm.
go over?
Yeah, now check this one out. I won this one. I played a little Genji and then I played Tracer at the end, but this was just a quick play game. I think I did better. I'm still didn't poke as much, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm also a much better Tracer than I am a Genji, but you can check it out.
Is there a space between those?
No, no space. Sorry. Let's check
All
this
right.
out.
Welcome to Oasis. Ready for battle.
I think the first round I really didn't do much. The second round I did a little more.
5,
Um,
3,
like tanks kind of just dragged me through the first game, and then I did a little bit. Second round I did a little more, but we lost. And the third round I went Tracer and did a lot. So
So do
check this
you
out.
what would you say that your main characters are? Who do you play the most?
I mean, I've really been trying to play a lot more Genji because he's fun.
Mhm.
I like him. I want to get better at him, but like he's probably my worst DPS to be honest.
Mhm.
Like he really is the worst. I'm the worst with him. And as far as DPS wise, like Ash is Ash Soldier, Doom Tracer probably are my best.
All right. Well,
Um,
my own personal recommendation is that if you have a slightly larger hero pool and you're not a one-trick Genji, go a little bit
I've
better.
flexed a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go a little. If your teammates, for example, here, if we're running a Mora Zenyatta, we might be much better off trying to swap to something like Tracer or another character or a soldier even, right? Because of the fact that we don't have any damage boost for our blade, right? We don't have a nano
Mhm.
for our blade. We don't have a mercy damage boost for our blade, which just means that blade's just gonna be a lot harder to get usage out of. Which again, Genji probably around like half of his whole kit is just centered around his blade because his blade is so good. Um, so if we can't get as much blade value because we're no longer able to one slash one dash somebody, right, rather than just needing two slashes, that's going to be a big disadvantage on our Genji. So just right off the bat, we might do better off just going a different character. And this is also a very good Tracer and Soldier map, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this was quick play though too, so I was just kind of
Okay.
like, well, see what I can do.
Yeah, quick play doesn't matter as much. Yep, it would be more if this is a scenario where you're in competitive.
Just practicing. Yeah, this is me just trying to practice my Genji mechanics, really. You know.
Mhm. Okay, so rather than just running straight up into their face, so we're gonna want to do one of either kind of one of two things. Either we come from the side angle to where now we don't have as many people looking at us, we're not so obvious with our approach, or we can look to just poke until we see something as well. Remember, Genji is very much like Tracer to where he is an opportunist. You're going in and trying to clean up kills. So
Right.
here, if we're running at the soldier and the Ana, I probably wouldn't do this from the frontal angle. Preferably, I'd probably be taking somewhere on the right side here, coming in on the right. But then if we do come in on them, make sure that we're looking to use our deflect a little bit earlier. As soon as we see them start to look at us, when we know we want to use deflect when we know that damage is coming in. And this, I know that you used to play Zarya, so this is very similar to how you use a bubble, your own personal bubble, or even a projected bubble. You use bubbles when you know damage is incoming. If you don't, then you're not going to get any energy. You're not going to get any tanking value. So here on Genji, we're not going to get any deflect damage value, and we're not going to get any tanking value for ourselves if we're using it after all the damages come in. So Soldier is pretty much probably going to helix us as soon as he starts looking at us, right? This deflect
Hmm.
gives us room to work with because we don't use it, that means that we end up getting 80 HP. Now's where we should be in the realm of just back out, get out, right? Territory. That's very good. We do end up doing that, but it's because that we're coming in from that frontal angle that it means that we're just taking so much damage, and it's making it easy for them to start shooting at us. Because um, it's kind of like if we're standing right here, and we're already looking at the ball, it's gonna be a lot harder for ball to get in on top of us than if ball came from our right side where we're not looking at the right side. So from this angle, we can spam at ball the whole way while he's rolling in on us. We can use abilities on him, but if he's coming in from the flank angle from our right side where we can't see, then all of a sudden he's getting a lot more value because now he has the surprise advantage. So that's exactly what we want to be looking for on Genji on Tracer, is just kind of play from that side angle, or just wait till there's something that we can go in on. Make sure you're watching health bars, because when we see something that's low, that's exactly when we want to be dashing. So here, when we see that
I think
Junkrat's
I was
out
on
in the open,
cooldown.
no,
Oh
we
no, it
have it.
wasn't. Okay.
Yep. So when we have it here, this is pretty much just where we would dash it, right click, dash in, and then just come in with a melee. Make sure reloading whenever you're not whenever you have the opportunity, right? Whenever you're not shooting at something, that way we actually have the shurikens. Yep, good job. Don't get distracted too much with ball. If you're just chasing, really again, right? Unless he's low or unless he's being focused by your whole team or he's stunned or anything like that, you're probably not going to be able to chase him down and kill him. He has too much health. He has too much mobility. So really, we're just wasting our time on him when we could just be spamming down like main here and probably getting a whole lot more ult charge and more value overall. Let's watch these shurikens real quick. Just watch how shaky this is and how we're not really aiming head level. And therefore, just a lot of these are missing. Right, look at, like, our crosshair is just not really anywhere near them. We're aiming too high, right? We're shaking around, right? These are just going way over their head. So make sure we're aiming head level, down more. Make sure you're not, especially like when you're just spamming down a little corridor here, no reason to make it shaky, right? Just kind of hold your crosshair still while you're aiming down there. Right. So think about kind of your engagements here, and you have to think about duels when you're on Genji. So a general rule of duels is you do not take duels that you have a disadvantage, but you do take duels where you have the advantage, right? So if we're trying to go in and we're trying to go on the Soldier and the Mora, we are at a disadvantage, namely because it is a 2v1. That is a big disadvantage. It's almost like twice the disadvantage, right? They have 2 times the amount of firepower. Mora isn't a fantastic matchup for us unless we're catching her by surprise. We're just at a disadvantage in that fight. Whereas if we're thinking Junkrat, who's off on his own, right? Now it becomes where we have the advantage because we have a better duelist toolkit than a Junkrat does, right? As Genji, we are a duelist character, right? The same way the Tracer's a duelist character. We can win duels very easily because we can get in on top of the Junkrat with a surprise advantage just by dashing in at him, right? And he can't really do the same, right? So we have the advantage if we go on this Junkrat who's by himself. So be looking for those situations where we can go in where we have the advantage versus where we have the disadvantage. Again, a lot of the time, what seems to be happening is we go poke, and then we run straight up into their face, get low, and then back out. That seems to kind of be the what keeps happening here, which that probably comes from the fact that we've played tank for a very long time. Essentially, You just remember you're not a tank. So what we can do sometimes is if they're all clumped up, right? If they're on a tight corridor and we want to get some deflect damage in, for example, what we can do is just run ahead of our Reinhardt real quick, just right here, deflect. As soon as deflect goes down, we back up, right? And make sure we're behind our tanks. Essentially, just make sure that you're not passing your tanks unless you're cleaning up on a kill. So if Mora here was 1 HP and you dash in real quick, that's fine because you get the kill and you have dash to get out or you have deflect to get out. Um, but we can't just go in ahead of our whole team and stand right here and expect to not take damage when they have Zari who has a beam, Moira who can go through our, like Zari and Moira can both go through our deflect, and we're trying to 1v4 people. So make sure we're standing on our teams, we're poking, we're waiting for opportunities, or we're coming in on side angles, right? Where maybe from the right side this becomes a little bit easier to poke from, or clean up on a kill from because we're just a little bit closer and we're not taking all that front line damage. Don't take that duel when you're 30 HP. Watch the death mines.
This is horrible. This is heinous, dude. This is embarrassing. That was embarrassing, yeah.
And again, we're just a little bit slow to our ultimate.
Just a
Again,
mess.
the slowest out of everyone here.
Just a mess.
Oh, good hunting down of the Junkrat
Got
there.
that guy, yeah. Just a mess.
When you see big groups of people like that, that's perfect dash opportunities, right? As
Right.
if we dash through that, we're hitting multiple people, and that also the one that does a ton of damage, right? Plus that also means that we're going to be getting our ult charge up faster, right? This is a good source of ult charge. So when you see big clumps of people like that, that's a good opportunity to dash through. I don't really see us utilizing our dash as much as we should be when in terms of especially cleaning up kills. Now that was good on the Reaper. We did finish off the Reaper with it, but we also seem to not often enough be using it when something's slow. Like with this Moira, that's a situation where we can dash after her and finish it off. Don't end up getting usage out of the blade because the round ends there.
Now this is just so as like a 4400 Genji player, when you see this, do you just cringe a little bit and die inside, or what?
Oh well, I mean,
I would. You're like, oh my god.
I'm a little more used to it because I've been doing coaching for a while. So I see less of the this is dumb and I kind of see this
Right.
more of I have an analytical mind when I'm going through this of what
That's
could he be
good.
doing better versus this is just flat out bad.
But if you jump into a comp game and you see it in one of your teammates grabs Genji and doesn't let you play Genji, and you're seeing him just make all kinds of mistakes, does it tilt you a little bit? Are you like, oh
Yeah,
my
of
god,
course.
this is just ridiculous. Like I could be doing 10 times better than this guy.
Yeah, of course. Like I'd probably say I'm not perfect with that, right? I would probably say there's not many people who are perfect with that. Everyone's gonna get tilted when they get bad teammates, but it also just comes back to that mentality of, um, yeah, he stole my Genji, but maybe I should also be, a little bit more in tune with a different character where I can carry on a different character, even if I do have a bad Genji as a teammate, right? Because that
Mm.
means then more flexible as a person, or as a player, right? To where I'm able to play more than just Genji, means that I'm able to carry bad players, right? So there's always something that, like, I just want to turn the focus to me, rather than team is bad.
Who do you
Yeah.
think are worse people, Ham in one tricks or Widow one tricks?
Well, I do very much despise Widowmaker as a character, so I'm gonna have to go with Widowmaker.
You have to go with Widow? Okay.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm gonna kill the Pharah, but then no. Okay.
A very, very good source of damage that we can go for here is Reinhardt's Fire Strikes, and that's because we can deflect that.
Deflex, yeah.
Yep, deflect that pretty consistently. Get through that through multiple people, and that's a very good source of ult charge. So make
You know
sure.
what sucks though? When you have a diva on your team and you're about to hit a fat deflect on a fire strike and she just eats it
Yeah, which if we know that she's
every
gonna do
time,
that,
and you're just like, oh my god! Every time you're about to get a fat deflect on a fire strike and she just keeps eating them, and you're like, ah.
mhm. Which, if
But-
we know that we do have a diva, it's probably more that we should try to hold on to our deflect so that we're not trying to deflect
Yeah.
the fire strikes anymore. So in this situation where we know that we're trying to maybe go for a lot more deflect damage because they have a Junkrat, they have a Pharah, they have a Reinhardt, so there's a lot of deflect damage we can go for there. We should probably be playing more frontline now than we were before in the last round, because now where's all that damage going to go? Where's Reinhardt going to fire strike at?
Straight down the pipe.
Right, straight down the middle, pretty much at our Reinhardt. So if we can sit around right here and time it so that Reinhardt is 6-second fire strike cooldown. So we should essentially pretty much know when he's going to be fire striking again, and then when he fire strikes, we just step in front, deflect it, try to get as many people as we can. So we just play a little bit more on the like in the middle of our team rather than just on the sidelines. Right. Don't be afraid to, again, just dash in to finish off kills. If you see Reinhardt's low like that, dash in and get on top of him, because what that allows us to do is it just resets dash, and we're able to get out afterwards. So when something's low, we want to go in so that we can finish off that kill and then just get back to our team. Right, so let's see, where's Genji here? And so let's just get the deflect back. So if we see just something that's low, even if it's in the middle of 6 people, all we have to do is just dash in and then dash out, right? And we can. It doesn't have to be a cool little ghost dash. I don't ghost dash a lot when I play Genji. But essentially, all you have to do is just get the kill, and then dash out as soon as you're done with it, right? Because you get that dash reset, or you can even deflect out to where we get in. Oh, let him come back to where we're going in, and then we just deflect, and then we use that as a defensive ability to where we can back up around the corner, for example. So you can use deflect to get out, or you can use dash to get out. Keep in mind as well that we don't always have to. So some good combos that we can go for are kind of our left click dash up. So if we're pretty far away and we want to fire off a shurikens before we go in, right? So we can left click and then dash in, right? And then always add the melee in at the end as long as you're within range. We can, if we're a little bit closer, we can go for the right click dash. And then if we think that we're too far, what we can actually do is because there's a delay and you're not able to you have a delay between your shurikens, what we can do is we can just dash at their feet, and then we can save the right click till after we get in there instead of using it to start. Because if we, let's say we, almost died there. Let's say that we use the right click as we're going in, there's going to be a delay to where we can't do that instantly. Right, so
Genji does love feet.
Yep, he does.
He does.
So
he's got a little foot fetish kind of.
That's how we can stop our momentum from just going straight past him, right? Is just by aiming at his feet while we're dashing in, so that we're hitting the ground right at his feet. So if we know that our dash is, unless we're at the perfect dash distance where we're ending up right here on top of him, we want to make sure that if we're too close that we're just aiming down, right? And then we can back up and jump, and then that way we can kind of dash in, and then follow that up with a melee or right click or something.
I feel like when playing Genji though, you have to have a different mindset than like playing something else, right? And I just don't have like that Genji mindset. Like it would be better if I was more prepared and like had a review where like I was really on point, really in the mindset of playing Genji, and like, you know what I mean? That comp game, I was like, like I said, Genji's probably my worst character. Like you'll see that last round when I play Tracer, I definitely do a lot better, but I think to learn Genji, like you just have to have that specific mindset, and you kind of have to one trick him for a while. You know what I mean?
That's gonna
like
apply to
just play
all.
Genji.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to apply to all characters. You always, whenever you're flexing, and I know this because I was a flex DPS, I played all the different DPS players, or characters. So pretty much every time that you're flexing to a different role or a different character, you always need to remind you of what is my job, what are the specific things that I'm doing on Genji differently than I'm playing on Tracer, right? So one of the big things is we want to make sure that we're thinking about our dash usage, because dash is one of the biggest abilities in our toolkit. Overwatch is a big ability game where we get a lot of usage out of our abilities if we're using them correctly. So if dash is going to be one of the bigger parts of our toolkit, and we want to make sure that we're using it correctly by, using it more often and trying to time it for when people are low. Let's see. So we end up dying there. Come back in. Hopefully we can see one of your blades. If we start to run out of time, maybe I'll skip ahead.
I don't even think I got a blade here. Honestly, I think I just did nothing like this game. I'm just running around, just memeing, basically, at this point. Oh, but I stay alive! Haha!
Just make sure that you're ready for that follow-up. If you know that they're not going to die to your dash, you need to be ready to turn around and follow up with a melee and a right click afterwards. Also, make sure you're not just running back into the fray when you're half HP. Right, this is the time where we're backing up to get healed. We're not trying to go in and engage. Alright, because then that results in us dying. So pay attention to your health. Make sure we're not going in without health.
Ryan just beats me into the floor, basically. Ugh. Horrifying.
Okay.
Don't want to be there.
Yep, exactly, right.
And I'd end up dying.
Just a little too far forward again. Make sure we're just slightly behind, because again, right, they have splash damage can get us, Zarya Beam, who's high energy, and Coalescence, right, and they get discorded. So we just need to make sure that we're playing safer because of how many times we died. Every time you die, that's just less and less value. Right? That's 20 seconds that you're out of the game.
And then our Zen trans for nothing.
Well, we're winning the fight, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I said, my tanks kind of just dragged us through this game at this point.
Okay. Remember that you can cancel your reflect.
This is the biggest blade you're ever gonna see in your life. Watch this.
All right.
Ready? Are you ready? The best blade you'll ever see in your life. Haha! Got him.
Huge.
Huge. Biggest blade ever. But I got trans out of the way. The Zen panicked and popped trans, so at least there's that, right? I got a kill and I got the Zen to pop trans.
Yep. When we see that Genji's going in, or sorry, when we see that they're trancing, right, and we're not gonna be able to get another kill, and we're also going in when we're again, I think I'm pretty sure we were half HP here, right? This is just a situation where even if you're blading, don't look to go in, because here when we see that they use that trance, this is where we just try to back up and get out. Oh, which is what we do.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, but I got burned down by the Zarya. And she just burns down a few more people. This is I'm like, okay, I'm gonna clutch it out. This is when I'm like, I kind of gave up on the Genji. I was like, all right, this isn't just not working for me, you know. So let me warm up the old Tracer, and we actually end up winning this game. And then wait till you see the next one though. I definitely play a lot better.
So this is again the same situation as our Genji, right? We see somebody who's 1 HP, we just double blink this way, and then now we're behind the Reinhardt, right? And now we can shoot him, and then if we need to, all we have to do is just recall, right? So that just gets us to finish off that kill. Here, when we blink in, we end up blinking in to the right, in front of his shield, for some reason, right? We blink in front of his shield, and that means that now we're just spamming at a shield instead of hitting him from behind.
I got him, though.
Yep, we got the kills. Just got stuck in a wall there for a second.
Yeah. Oh no, we lost this one. We didn't win that. We lost. Okay, but this is like, I'm like, all right, this is when I'm like, because after we won the first one somehow, then we lost that one, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drag us through this game. I got you. Watch. And this one, I feel like I played a lot better, but I'm like, all right, I have to switch up my mindset now.
Which again, okay, so already we're doing slightly better where our mindset is we're going on the sidelines, not coming from the front line. Which is what we're doing here. Uh-oh, we're trying to poke in when we're 30 HP. This is where I would have gone like something like this, where I'm just grabbing this, and then now look at where our position is, right?
Mhm.
Now we're in a very, very good position to go in on top of the Zenyatta or the Soldier, which is where this is the position that Tracer wants to be in. So we're just hanging out in a wrong spot for a little too long. That was a good spot to start off, but now again, we're just poking in with 0 HP. We get a kill, so it's good. Zarya's 1 HP, so we can finish that off, yeah. Really, really good. Okay, so what we're doing now, more efficiently than what we did with the Genji, is we are cleaning up these kills, right? We're on the sideline, and look how easy it is. Essentially, all these kills that we're getting are just us getting the finishing blows, which is exactly what Tracer's as a character is designed to do. We're poking in and out, poke, 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 until we see something that's lower out of position, and then we can go in and punish that, right? So this
Mhm.
whole fight here, when we got the Moira was out of position. Then we're backing up. Then we go back in. Reinhardt was 1 HP, and we just spammed at him, and we got the kill here. Right, we get the kill on Reinhardt. Then we come back in. Zarya is 1 HP again. We get the kill on the Zarya. Again, right, Junkrat's pretty much 1 HP because he's getting focused by Soldier. So we just end up getting 4 kills here because we're cleaning it up, which is exactly what we should be trying to do on our Genji as well. So that here we're playing Tracer like exactly the play style that you want to be playing her.
So why do I do so much better on Tracer and then Genji I'm just a wreck?
Well, because as you could see with the positioning, first off with the positioning, we're taking on Genji, we are always on that frontal angle, which is just going to make it so much more difficult because we're taking more damage because we're also just not going to be able to shoot as much. So first off, we're taking the frontal angle on Genji versus Tracer, we're on the side. Now Genji, you don't always need to be as extreme on the side as Tracer because Tracer does have a little bit more survivability than Genji. But you do want to be decently on off angles, right? Taking different angles than the rest of your team. And then the second thing is that here on Tracer, we actually go in when we see people are low, and we blink in, we get on top of the people that are low so we can finish them off. On Genji, we never really dashed in on people who were 1 HP or out of position or low, right? And that's how we finish off kills on Genji, whereas we weren't really doing it on
I
him, but
think
we
it's
are
because
doing it on
my
Tracer.
confidence on Genji is much lower, right? Like I don't
Mhm.
feel like if I dash in on somebody, I'm gonna be able to secure the kill. I get like
Mhm.
flustered. I'm like, oh, I might get the kill. They might kill me. I don't know. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
like my confidence is,
Watch this crosshair
uh,
placement here, right? Just because look at how we have it, and that just means that it's gonna be a lot harder to hit these headshots, right? Just because we're aiming at our butt, right, instead of our head, and then that just means that all these shots, though we're just hitting body shots, and that's just gonna be a lot less damage in comparison. Oh, crosshair
and you
placement is
think
definitely
that's a
one.
bad Zarya habit from playing Zarya
Yeah,
all
which
the time?
because Zarya doesn't require headshots, right?
She
So
doesn't care. Yeah, yeah. You
mm,
just gotta hit them. Doesn't matter. Just get your charge up and beam them down.
very good pulse. Maybe you don't need to, if you know you're not going to be under pressure, maybe no reason to waste the recall because it
Right.
is a 12-second cooldown versus maybe a blink, which is, what is blink? Like more like a 2-second cooldown.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So if we know that there's not going to be anything that's just going to immediately blow us up, no reason to recall. Good pulse though, very good positioning with it. And now we just want to get healed up.
Let's try that again.
Observe the barrier.
This will restore you.
Barrier is unstable. Thank you. Don't just sit there with your mouth full of.
All right, so we are pretty much out of time for this session. So I am going to end the recording.